All right, so today's going to be a little different. We're going to talk about Charlie Kirk and what happened and some of the thoughts. Let's get into it. Do you want to give your thoughts first, or do you want me to give mine?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I mean, one, I think it's really sad because, any person being killed is obviously horrible. Um, but I think there were three different things that I thought specifically about the situation. One, was that he was very courageous with what he believed in, and I respect everyone who is going to be bold and courageous about what they believe, especially when it comes to faith. Secondly, he hadn't got to live very much of his life. I mean, 31 is pretty young. Um, and so that it's just sad that, you know, we didn't really get to see what could have happened if he could have kept living. And then the third one, and for me the most like the saddest one, is the fact that he had a 1-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter, and they're never gonna get to see their dad again, which is extremely sad. Um, and I think it's horrible some of the reactions that people have had just in like celebrating his death. I mean, I get there's a lot of people who disagree with him, but to celebrate anyone's death, as long as they're not just like a mass murderer or something. I mean, his whole idea was to go have conversations with people that he disagreed with, um, and allow people to ask him questions. It was nothing about like, yeah, let's go kill a bunch of people. So I think that there was nothing wrong with what he was doing in terms of how he was interacting with people. And so for someone to take his life like that and then for people to celebrate it, I think is honestly just horrible. What do
Yeah,
you
I
think?
think that's the part that seems pretty outrageous is not that, I mean, one, there is some base level of, wow, it's amazing there's somebody so crazy to actually do that. To a, like, kind of, to me, it was like, presidents have been shot, assassinated or attempted assassination with relative frequency, but like he's just a guy going around talking about stuff. That one was I think it kind of seemed like it was on a different level. Um, Not that he was to the level of Martin Luther King, but it's the last time that I think of like, oh wow, he's just a guy talking about activist stuff. That not even activist. I don't know, political activist maybe. Um, but yeah, it's outrageous that somebody would actually do it, but more so people's reactions to just being cool with supporting that kind of behavior is like, what? Uh, I mean, the it shouldn't be super surprising, but it does feel like I am not around people who I think when push comes to shove share that opinion. Although I suspect I am around some people that possibly are on the conservative side a little aggressive. I gotta think if somebody um, took out George Soros or something, I'm around a couple people that might make comments about me like, ah, yeah, somebody took him down. Um, but I don't know that. But I don't think any of the people that I'm around frequently would actually believe that it was a good idea to murder somebody who was just talking. Yeah, it's mostly been the reaction to it that I think is pretty obscene.
Yeah,
And I don't know how you logic with somebody like that.
I don't either. I mean, I heard someone on the radio, or not the radio. It was on an article or something talking about, I think it was some legislative person who is actively trying to find the social media accounts and accounts of people who are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk and get them fired. I was like, I agree because like first of all, you need to be called out if you're celebrating someone's death. But secondly, I don't want to work with you. I don't want to work for you, and I don't want you to work for me if you're going to celebrate someone's death, no matter like what side they're talking about or on, the left or the right or
Mm-hmm.
the middle or whatever. Yeah. So I was honestly, since it's like a non-violent way to call someone out, I was kind of happy that someone is trying to do that because I don't know. That's just like sick, celebrating murder
Yeah.
is uh
We've certainly seen it in history frequently, but it feels weird to have it hit so close to home.
yeah.
And the thing that I was thinking about as well is it because I know people have had dumb opinions about what President Garfield getting shot, but social media didn't exist. So the only opinions that you got to hear nationwide were the printed ones in the paper or whatever. Um, and so I did wonder, like, what's the baseline rate of people who would have supported that behavior or did support that behavior, and how much of it am I just seeing because I live in a time where somebody from what was it, Oxford or something that he had debated previously, posted, oh yeah, let's go, Charlie Kirk's been shot. Um, I don't know. I'm not sure. I would like to think that it's not especially bad now than it has been in the past, but for the West, it does seem pretty crazy.
Did you see that guy from MSNBC, Matthew Dowd, who got fired immediately after he gave his
Yeah,
comments? I,
yeah. Now I couldn't tell. Did he? Did Charlie Kirk had gotten shot, but he didn't know he died yet, right? Was
I'm
that the
not sure
timeline?
exactly when it was, but
Because I remember thinking like, still terrible. Shouldn't have said it. A little bit better if he didn't know that he was dead.
yeah,
Oh, just to give the benefit of the doubt there. But yes, also like, dude, wow, you're on national television. Shut your mouth.
yeah. What do you think as a father of three very young children, like knowing that he was in a very similar boat? Like, have you thought about that at all? And like, how does that make you feel?
Uh, I mean, you know, it makes you feel exactly how you would think, but it is crazy that, um, yeah, it's a weird mix of stuff because uh, the book, The Case Against Empathy, which I thought was very good, was basically talking about, and this is exactly what I thought, which is like, I know lots of stories of lots of people dying who had kids, but then like one dude gets shot and you hear about it all over media and he's got two kids and then it's like close to home, which is weird because like there's no reason you shouldn't have had similar emotions with every time you heard about someone dying. um but it's the whole empathy, the person's story, you kind of followed them, and then they die in a tragic way and it just like feels different. So that's my like thoughts about feelings about the thing. But I mean, it sucks. There's you go through the train of thought of wow, I've got kids of roughly the same age. Um, and I'm so glad I'm not famous because nobody knows who I am and is interested in taking me out. And I had that thought about, like, how many public speakers are now going to be behind a pane of bulletproof
Oh yeah.
glass. Uh,
They've canceled a bunch of
it's going to be,
events.
yeah, it's like that's going to be a piece of equipment they take the whole time. Mm. So yeah, I don't know. It sucks. It's dumb. It sucks. It. I always just remind myself that the person who did it is crazy. Um, there's no. They weren't thinking about kids or family or whatever. They were just totally absorbed in whatever hate that they drummed up, which is nuts. Like, to me, it's clearly illogical in that if you really wanted to make a difference in people's lives and you really thought that there were these people that were Nazis and trying to kill trans people or whatever the ideology was, is a dude traveling around and talking to people really the worst person? Like, that's the thing you're gonna go to jail and get the death penalty for, is a guy that goes to campus, not like a politician or I don't know. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised because people who go shoot up schools, it's a similar thing. It's like the angry at society instead of doing something that's going to change
Logical.
policy. I
Yeah.
shouldn't be surprised. Yeah, because the brain doesn't work.
Yeah. Uh, did you hear, which the second part of this I'm not sure is confirmed, but I know that his wife, Erica, and their two children were there, but someone
Mm-hmm.
had said, and again that I haven't seen this in an article or anything, but someone talked to me about it, is that like his daughter started running to him because she was scared. And I was like,
I
wow.
did hear that, and I immediately also thought of the empathy thing, um, because it's like a story that further personalizes the. Not that it's wrong. It just made me think of it. Um, and I looked it up last night, and I couldn't find any verification of that information because my wife also said she heard somebody say that,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, here we go. I'm gonna look it up. Um, and I couldn't find any confirmation of that information, but it's possible. I mean, I thought of my wife was talking about, oh, the young Ukrainian woman that got stabbed on the train in
Yeah.
whatever city that was, and that nobody helped her like for a full 90 seconds.
Have you seen the
And my
video?
response to that, no.
It's not
I
that
have
bad.
not watched the video of Charlie Kirk or the other lady. I'm like, I don't
Well, no,
need to
honestly,
see
the
it.
one of her is not gruesome because, well, it's not like disgusting, but it's sad. Like basically you
Yeah.
can't really see much blood, but then she like sits there for a second and like doesn't know what happened. And then she like just starts
Mm-hmm.
falling and then she just hits the
Yeah.
floor. And there are like four people around her that are just like watching her
Mm-hmm.
fall slowly and hit the floor. And I'm like, there's literally one person who gets up after she gets stabbed and like runs away, which I mean
Uh-huh.
is I kind of get, but also like, dude, you can't
That's a more
like
logical thing to do.
but you can't
Uh,
like ask her
what I
like,
told my
"Hey, are
wife
you
was,
okay?" I don't know.
yeah, yeah. The thing that I think everybody overestimates in the, oh, what is this? Um, I was actually just rereading the speech by Charlie Munger that it's like 25 errors in human judgment, and one of them is the error of overestimating your own abilities. I it has some better name than that, but I was telling my wife I pretty much don't assume that anybody's going to act responsibly in an emergency situation, but everybody thinks they will. Um, like I think I will, but I've seen enough things and heard enough stories that make me realize like when you're freaking out, you're freaking out. Like there's a reason that people on the beaches of Normandy were just like walking around holding an arm disattached from their body, hollering for their mother or whatever. Um, and I thought about when JFK got assassinated, when I can't remember his wife's name, reaches back and basically grabs his brains off the back of the car. Like, it's not logical. Like, you just saw your spouse get shot. Why you need to collect his brains, I don't understand. But it's not, it's just like 90 seconds will go by like that. That was my initial reaction. Because my wife was also like, why is this? I mean, she's correct. Somebody should have tried to do something, but when people are stressed, man, they act real weird.
I know.
This is the whole madness of crowds thing. And to assume that you'll act differently with no training is fortunately most people won't have to figure out that they won't behave well.
It's not even that I feel like I could save her or figure out how to pack the wound or anything like that. It's like I feel like I would ask her if she's okay. That's
Mm-hmm.
that I know that I probably couldn't do much after that other than maybe like call 911 or something. But I don't know, just the fact that they're standing there and don't even ask if she's okay. I feel like I would at least say, "Are you okay?" Because I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, in other not emergency situations, but there's other times where like I'll notice something's a little off, partly because I read that Jason Hansen book. Um, it was right after Christmas. I was reading it and it was like basically be on code yellow and like constantly aware. So now I'll look and if something's off at all, like I'll make sure that I'm looking to make sure everything's okay. So if she was there and then something was very off because she just got stabbed, I don't know. I do feel like I would say, "Are you okay?" At the very least.
I would like to think that I would. If I would or not, I don't know.
Hopefully you never have to know, but
Exactly.
we'll see.
Yeah. The We also don't live in big cities where you're trained to, if there's something crazy going on, you stay out of it because somebody else is going to get hurt. Um, and the whole like, you don't make eye contact with people, you don't talk to people who look weird, like just for your own safety. So there's a little bit of training that all those people I'm sure have experienced, plus the fact that the dude who just stabbed the lady is still in vicinity and you're like freaking out on the inside. And there's like 4 or 5 people there and nobody else is doing anything. So there's a little bit of social pressure. Like you're
Yeah.
going to be the odd man out. It and like I said, I really feel like if that kind of thing happens, 90 seconds is nothing
Yeah.
unless you've got training.
It was really quick. I was watching a video about where a guy was like, "Yeah, those people didn't wouldn't have known how to pack a wound. Here's how to do it." Because I was
Yeah.
like, I kind of want to see and know like the best way to do it. And really, it's really
And her
simple.
neck, she probably wouldn't have made it anyway.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It's just
there's Zimbardo, the guy that did the Stanford prison experiment. You know
mhm,
about this?
mhm,
Um, he did another one where I think it was him, where he took a person who was kind of like in standard, maybe slightly messy clothes, and had them lay on the steps of, I don't remember if it was Grand Central Station or something, like people walking by, and had them like moan and then call out for help, and like nobody would stop to touch them. And then they did the same thing for like 50 minutes. And then they had the same thing, but the person was dressed in a business suit, and it, like, immediately people stopped to assist. Um, so like there's so much psychology that messes with people. And then there was the lady, what was her name, in some city where she got stabbed. Her attacker stabbed her, and then for like 30 minutes she was hollering and like walked half a block, like trying to get people to help her. And people heard it, but nobody helped. And it was like the attacker then came back and finished the job. Um, and there was plenty of time. Yeah, it's very well documented. I could find you who the lady's name is, but it was another one of those examples of like, just because the psychology of people there at the time, nobody helped,
Wow.
and so she ended up getting killed.
That's
Like,
crazy.
this is the whole, if you're a young lady and somebody is attacking you, you holler fire, not help, because people tend to be more uh, interested if you holler fire.
I have never heard that, and that is so smart. Because like that's uh kind of going off the psychology that they don't want to get hurt themselves. Whereas if you're just
Mm-hmm.
yelling help, they're like, oh, that person. Like nothing's happening to me right
Or in a big city, if you're in a dark alley hollering help, somebody's like, I'm not going there. I don't know. Like, is that a trap? Am I going to go in there and somebody's going to. But if you holler fire, people are like, where? It's
now.
the
Wow.
train crash thing. You can't look away.
Yeah. One thing that I know my dad has talked about, uh, it, it's so funny that everyone gets mad when accidents happen and the cars slow down, but then when they get up there, they're like, whoa, this is good.
Yeah.
And then they slow down.
Yeah.
And it's like
Uh-huh.
you're doing the exact same thing that you were just getting mad at people for.
Yeah.
But you can't. It's hard to look away. That's why
Uh-huh.
the video of Charlie Kirk and that one girl have circulated like crazy because, yeah. Also,
Yeah. I told my wife, I'm too visual. I just don't want those images in my head.
yeah, it was, I did see the actual video of Charlie Kirk. It was kind of gross. It was really gross, actually. I kind of wish I hadn't have seen it because I liked,
So the next time something happens, you'll know. Just don't. Just don't look at the video.
yeah. Although you don't really know how gross it is until you see it. Like the
Oh
stabbing
yeah,
of
I
the
do.
girl, like wasn't, you couldn't really see anything other than her falling. But yeah, Charlie Kirk was bad. Did you see the inscriptions that dude Tyler Robinson, I think, is the guy who killed Charlie, that he wrote on the ammo?
Hmm. Well, I didn't see them, but I was listening to a podcast where somebody read them, and some of them I was like, I, he must be in some subreddits or something, because like I vaguely thought, okay, this is related to transgender stuff, but I did not understand some of the references.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't either, but the first one that they talked about was where he wrote, "Hey fascists, catch." So like he was already
Yeah,
out, like his brain wasn't
right.
working.
And I don't know of anybody who's done something like this who, after I heard about their well, not memo, manifesto or whatever, I wasn't like, oh, this is clearly a nuts person. I talked to a couple people in the last couple days, um, who, the way that they worded stuff, and I don't even know if they intended it this way, just the way that they worded it, it was like they kind of grouped, oh, that side, it's kind of like that side is responsible for this. And it was like borderline on the edge of, I really want to make a comment. Like, no, I mean, there are ideologies that lend themselves more towards violent actions, but these people are nuts. Like the people that do these things are always crazy and always have some sort of mix of like left things we would associate with left or right. And it's always like the most hateful version of whatever. Like they're anti-Semitic and they are a Jew or something. Like they're always just like ideas that clearly are not logical to work together. Um, I do think though, like somebody made the point immediately when you hear a story like this, if somebody goes in and shoots a synagogue, you generally jump to it's a Muslim extremist or uh, a neo-Nazi. Those two ideologies. That's your immediate first thought. If somebody shoots up a Catholic school, you're like Muslim extremist or yeah, some a trans activist. Like you you jump to what are the couple groups that if you went all the way out to the edge of the extremity of this ideology, who would that be? So I'm not saying there aren't ideologies that make it easier to come to certain conclusions, but I definitely felt a little bit with those two people like, well, I mean, just be careful who you talk to, because if you talk to somebody who's more left leaning and you make that comment, they're going to think that you think that they're going to shoot another Charlie Kirk. Uh, but I do agree with, I think it was the trigonometry guys, Konstantin Kisin, that was like, don't go around calling people a Nazi because it certainly does not help crazy people to encourage them to be like, yeah, I'm killing Nazis. Like maybe you should reserve that term for real Nazis. Like his whole comment was, if you call somebody Hitler a bunch, he was like, if I lived in Nazi Germany near Hitler, I think it would be somewhat of a moral obligation for me to take up arms against him. So if you've got a bunch of unstable people and you're throwing around the term Hitler and you keep hearing it consistently for the same group of people, it's like, okay, well, the brain's not working. And if they actually associate this person with Hitler and they're like me, it would be logical for them to try and do something about it.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like what people don't think about though is, especially when it comes to someone who's not actually doing the same things that Hitler is doing and like um trying to persecute and kill millions of people. Um, but someone in Charlie Kirk's situation where he's speaking out against certain topics and stuff like that. Someone who is, I mean, they're already not thinking logically, so obviously they're not going to come to this
Right? Yeah.
conclusion. But to actually make a difference is not killing them because if you, for anyone who supported Charlie or was at least on the edge, they are now fully in support of Charlie and they are
Yeah.
willing to do
Yes.
everything they can to make sure that Charlie's legacy is continued and the things that he was trying to uh,
Mm-hmm.
talk about are talked about even more. So, if anything,
Yeah.
it does the exact opposite of
Mm-hmm.
what you're trying to do when you kill someone. It is
Yes.
pushing
Yeah.
Charlie's agenda even further. Whether that's a good or
Right.
bad thing for some people, it depends on what you believe. But if you kill him, that's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. I'm not convinced that in an open society, a very American open society, that it doesn't just create a martyr for the cause. I think in the UK, it's becoming more obvious to me that, oh, yeah, they do really back down. I don't know if it's just because they're so used to getting ruled by kings, but Americans are by and large very stubborn. Um, and I would have thought that other Western countries were the same way, but maybe that's not the case. And yeah, in America, I totally agree with you. I think that that's that you shoot somebody and you're going to bolster whatever their because we have an undercurrent, however much is left of it, of you don't behave that way, except for in subgroups of communities. And so you're really going against the majority when you shoot somebody, and especially somebody who's so obviously nonviolent. Because it's a little different if you go out and, I don't know, somebody had killed Epstein. There would have been a lot of people that are like, well, but yeah, to kill somebody who you disagree with, who's nonviolent and not in any other way that we know committing crimes is a little egregious, and it's going to motivate a bunch of people. I'm curious if it will change anybody's mind. Maybe some people who are like in the center on their ideas, and maybe it shouldn't change anybody's mind, other than maybe making people a little more conservative on the let's tone down the rhetoric. If somebody gets shot and it changes your mind about all of your political ideas, then there's a little bit of me that's like, well, it's not really related to your thoughts on abortion or marriage or whatever. So I think you're right. I think the main thing it's going to do is people who are already conservative leaning and somewhat liked Charlie, it's now going to be more heavily so. That was a long train of thought just to say I agree with you.
I think it might change some people's minds who might be left leaning, just not the shooting itself, but the reaction of some of their peers. Like I know
Mm-hmm.
there's one dude, uh his name is Parker something. I don't know what his last name is, but he debated Charlie Kirk. He did that. So this company called Jubilee has a YouTube account, and
Oh
they
yeah.
did like the 20 liberal students versus one conservative or whatever. And I saw his reaction to the whole Charlie Kirk shooting, and like he was like, I am so scared right now, like I don't know what to think, all this stuff. And someone like that who is pretty far left leaning, but like see some of the reactions of people about how overjoyed they are that he got shot, and then knowing him personally, I know for him that really hit him hard. And for people who don't know him
Mm-hmm.
personally, but can see some of the reactions, I don't know. I mean, in my mind, if I was with a specific party and it was like a majority, not a majority, but a large amount of people were talking this way, I don't know. I mean, I know the right also has some extreme people, so it's hard to know, but I know I'd be like,
Yeah.
why are
We also don't necessarily spend a bunch of time with people that react that way when somebody dies. So it is hard to be like, if I was in that situation.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, that's just a really sad situation. And the girl who
Mm-hmm.
got stabbed, also a really sad situation.
Yeah. Seriously.
And apparently there was a
Uh,
shooting at a school the same day too, as Charlie Kirk got shot.
I heard somebody saying that at, was it a Colorado school or something?
Yeah, that's also really sad. It's just murder in
Yep.
general is very sad.
Yeah. Right. Uh,
Man.
yeah. I don't know. The Charlie Kirk one is definitely like, you, other than a sheet of bulletproof glass, there's no way you could have stopped it. It was so premeditated, and to have somebody go on every rooftop and every window of every building is just like a whole nother level of, about the only way you can stop it is you need to start having these events inside of, not in open space, and that way you can control people coming in and out. But the school shootings, I always go back to like synagogues for, or Jewish schools for years have had armed guards, and it's expensive, but uh, you don't hear of Jewish schools getting shot up much anymore. Every once in a while, but by and large, people who are angry at the state of being are looking for soft targets.
Yeah. Yeah. Man.
So I feel like that one is a little more preventable,
Yeah.
but I understand why it's expensive to have full time security in all these places.
Yeah.
Oh well. What's the limerick? The thoughts of others were light and fleeting, uh, of lovers meeting, of luck or fame. Mine were of trouble, and mine were steady, and I was ready when trouble came. Just be prepared for crazy people.
Yeah.
But yep, it does suck.
It does.
I don't know if there's any way around it. I think that some people underestimate. I also know people who are highly neurotic, right? We all know those people who are highly neurotic and politically, if they listen to much political stuff, those are the people that only talk about bad things. Um,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh yeah, look at what George Soros is doing, or look at what these liberals or libtards are doing. I don't hang out with anybody who uses the term libtard, but I definitely know a few of those in the conservative space. Um, and then there's just constant negative. Okay, we know those people. Those people are like, they go to a football game and they're concerned for their life. Not saying that you shouldn't always be aware, but they're a little crazy. And man, where the heck was I going with that? I derailed myself.
That's right. There's a in the same book, the Jason Hansen book, there's a code green, code yellow, and code red. And code red is like something is happening, you should
You're in
be
imminent
ready.
danger.
Code
Yeah.
yellow is like a you're not in imminent danger, but and you don't need to just freak out, but like be
Yeah.
aware and be ready when
Mm-hmm.
danger comes. And then code green is most people where it's like, you know, oh, another day. Like, cool. Let me be on my phone while I'm walking across the street so I can get hit by the car that's coming. Like he
Yeah, or
literally
on my
said
phone
that
while I'm driving the car.
he said that he has never oh, what did he say? He said like I've never sent a text in my life, which I was like, that's crazy. That's
That is crazy.
correct. But maybe he just calls people. I don't know. Anyways,
He
yeah,
has people that call people. Oh, I remember where I was going with that. Um, the I think there are large amounts of people that underestimate meeting somebody who has a true religion. And I mean that in not saying that the shooters are religious, but they have an all consuming ideology and they are prepared to die for that ideology. And I think in the West, there's a lot of people that have ideologies, or most of their ideologies, they're not really willing to die for it. Maybe they think they would, but if push came to shove, it goes back to the like, would they actually? And we've not had to experience being around people who are like fully into the thing. And if that thing is wrong or murderous, there's no negotiating about it. We just don't have to, we don't function in that way. Um, yeah. So I think people don't really understand these people exist and they're crazy and they're prepared to die for what they believe. And if that thing that they believe is murderous, then you're in big trouble. You want to stay away from those people. Yeah. That the in the Bible, I think people in the West don't understand that the idea of a secular is who somebody was talking about this. and the way they termed it was really good. Oh, it was Tom Holland, the historian Tom Holland,
I thought,
and he
wait,
was talking about how,
there's a historian
yeah,
named Tom Holland.
yes,
That's funny.
not the actor. I think it's Tom Holland is his name. It's something very similar because I always think the actor. Um, but when people from the West have inherited a Christian ideology, whether they want it or not, specifically when Jesus said, "Whose face is on the coin?" and the reply was Caesar's, and his response was, "Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and give to God what is God's." Really set the idea of a secular. Until that time, there was no the idea of there being a secular space does not exist. It doesn't exist in Islam. It doesn't exist in Judaism before the Catholic Church imposed it on to Jews. Um, because being Jewish was you were in a tight knit Jewish community, and I do mean that in the religious sense. There was no differentiation between ethnic Jew and religious Jew. You were Jewish, um, and when Western Christian societies had developed the idea of the secular, you can have whatever opinion you want when we're in a shared public space. They basically forced Jews to come to the same conclusion. Like if you're a member of the kingdom or you're a member of the state and you can be Jewish, but you can't just live in a little community and be totally separate from the laws of the land. And so Judaism did develop the idea of a secular, which is sort of what the Talmud is. This is going to a weird place, but are you familiar with Talmud? Have you seen one before?
Not really.
So there's the Talmud and Midrash, Midrash, yeah, and then there's the Kaaba, Kabal, whatever it is. It's not Kabal. The Kaaba is like Jewish mysticism. And most people just see it as like this is a weird thing. Um, but the Talmud, so there's the Pentateuch, your first five books of the Bible, and the Talmud is the Jewish laws and then commentary on those laws. And the way it's written is you've got like one or two columns in the middle, and then around those columns, around whatever the center portion is, you've got throughout history rabbis' commentary on how to implement it. And it's kind of like as Jews realized they had to apply these laws to modern life, they had to come up with ways of reinterpreting things. And the interpretations are different. So, like, one rabbi will interpret this way, then a rabbi 100 years later will put his commentary on it. So, it kind of like it's inside and then moves out.
Hmm.
But whereas in Christianity, to interpret those old laws into modern life, we were like, well, Jesus was a savior, he fulfilled the law. There's been a paradigm shift since then. It's not that we're anti-law, it's that the law was fulfilled in Jesus and the way to coming to God is different. But Judaism never had that transition, so they had to develop commentaries on okay, on the Sabbath, how does this work? Like, can we actually turn on a light? Can you tell someone else to turn on a light? Because that, it's work when you're telling somebody else to work. Or do you have to just hint at somebody else turning on a light for you? Um, and then Islam is very similar, but they're way behind. Like, there's no concept of a secular. Everything is all of life is religious, no exceptions. And there are some Muslims in the West that have sort of had to live their life as if there's a secular, but um, for the Muslim world, there still isn't. And they've got there's the Quran, and then there's um, the Hadith, which the Hadith are like people's writings about what they saw Muhammad do, and then eventually people used the hadith to come up with basically the modern day Sharia. So they took the hadith and were like, well, I mean, in this situation, Muhammad did this, so that's how it should be because Muhammad is God's last and final prophet. Um, so it's just interesting to see like these two other religions don't. There's no concept of the secular, and they had to be developed by force because the Christian world required it. Uh, so it is interesting to see people who've grown up with an idea of the secular like totally not understand somebody who's super committed to a terrible ideology. There was another long way of saying people don't understand each other.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah. I was gonna say, can you write on a non-Sabbath on a sticky note, this needs to be turned on, point at the light, so then just stick it there so that even on the Sabbath, you know, you're implying that it needs to be turned on, but you didn't say it on the Sabbath. You wrote it on a non-Sabbath day. Think about
I think that the
it.
for real strict Jews that still counts. Like I think you cannot tell somebody to go do it. I'm not even sure you can ask somebody to go do it. Um,
Even on a
at
non-Sabbath
Purdue
day.
on non-Sabbath day, I mean, you could just go do it, but the indicating to someone obviously to go and do it. Uh, yeah,
You could just write,
it's
think
very
about
legalistic.
whether you can see in this room right now, put it right next to the light switch, because then they'll read it and be like, oh yeah, I can't see in this room. Maybe I need to turn on the light.
Yeah, I know a guy who worked as he had lots of Jewish friends. He wasn't Jewish. I don't think he was religious at all, but he would help at whatever the Jewish organization building on campus is as like a maintenance janitorial guy on the weekends. And he was like, yeah, it's funny when people would like you to turn on the light, they'll like cough or like try to like because they're not allowed to tell you. And he's like, and if it ticked you off yesterday, you could just ignore them. I was like, wow, dude. Because
That's
they can't tell you to do it. That counts as work.
that's crazy. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. I don't really have anything else. Do you have anything else?
Nope. Think of happier things. Be grateful.
Yeah. Be
I don't
grateful
know.
for what you
That's
have.
one thing. This whole week, even predating the Charlie Kirk thing, I've been thinking about gratefulness because I'm trying to figure out how to really instill in my kids gratefulness because I think gratefulness is a precursor to proper stewardship. So I don't know. Let it be another bullet in your tool belt of reasons to be grateful is you didn't get shot this week. Send us email. I need email. I'm lonely.
Alrighty. There we go. That's podcast.